Hello, welcome to the third episode of Highcaster's Oathstar. That means we are halfway through this limited campaign, which, wow, that means we're past the rise to conflict, going right into what the second act? Uh-oh.
We'll be done with the first half after this session.
Yeah, definitely. All right. Well, okay.
Beginning of the middle.
And this literature episode brought to you by I am Christopher Gray, creator of Highcaster. It is for the next few days, if I'm not mistaken, 4, maybe 5 days left on the Kickstarter. So if you're not on it yet, get in on it now. We have a lot of exciting things happening. We're still trying to hit the 10,000 mark so that we can add some machinery in the back of the book so that you can convert your favorite fantasy RPG to the new caster system. And as a footnote, I have been running Dungeons & Dragons with the caster game with my kids' middle school group, and it is so much fun. Like, it really, really works. You can skip all of the lines, all the cues around an initiative. You can say yes to everything the kids want to do. You go right to the story. It's so much fun. So highly encourage. I'm on a side rant. So why don't we introduce everybody, and then we'll get back into the game. Who's first?
Hi, everybody. I'm Rob Abear, he, him pronouns. I am playing Grumble, also he, him pronouns. Grumble is a sentient pile of rocks who likes floppy hats and talks with a accent probably from Louisiana, which is where I grew up. And yeah, he's a bard-like character. Outside of this game, you can find me on Twitter and Instagram at Nerdy Paper Games. I'm an illustrator and designer. You can find all my stuff there, and on Itch, the same name, Nerdy Paper Games. I'm going to pass it to Danny.
Awesome. I'm Danny, and Rob is very, very good. He's done stuff for us, so in case you were looking for somebody. Speaking of, he did the art for our podcast that Joanna and I do, which is where you can find me. I'm Danny and Joanna, and we do a podcast about horror stuff. So if you like horror stuff and you like us talking about stuff and sometimes crying, go ahead and check it out. I also write for role-playing games. I also write graphic novels. I also write novels and short stories. I do a bunch of stuff. You can find me on Twitter at Danielle DeLise. I use she, her pronouns, and I play Enosi, who also uses she, her pronouns. She's a Drake Magister, which basically she's a dragon wizard. I mean, essentially it's what it boils down to, which is cool. So it's awesome. And she's apparently very attractive and has a lot of charisma because she's just attracting friends and admirers wherever she goes. So that's awesome.
She's at least attractive to Vikings.
Hey.
They're not Vikings.
I wouldn't be taking that criticism from
I will say none of our characters.
I'm just saying.
None of our characters were surprised that she immediately had a suitor in the first village that we hit. So
nice save. I'll pass it to Kurt.
All right. Hi, I'm Kurt. I use he, him pronouns. I will be playing Emir, and Muscles, who also use he, him pronouns. I haven't checked with Muscles. I thought it would be rude to look, so I don't know Muscles' pronouns. I am a giantkin wildkin. I'm a big boy, big nice boy. He's about 18 feet tall, big old giant with an otter bear companion who's about the size of a grizzly bear, but all round and cute like an otter. I am a graphic designer and game designer. You can find me on Twitter at Kurt Potts. I think we were plugging stuff. I am the co-creator of Lighthearted, which I just sent some files off. So that should be hopefully like it's moving, it's happening, which had a Kickstarter earlier this year. So I'm very excited about that moving forward. All right, that's me. Joanna, you're up.
All right. Hi, I am Joanna. I am playing Renoy, she, her pronouns, and I use she, her pronouns as well. Renoy is descended from demons, but she's actually very, very sweet. She wants to help everybody as much as possible, but sometimes a little dark side comes out if stuff happens that she doesn't like too much. Like she doesn't like getting wet because it weighs down her feathers and she can't fly and all of that good stuff. So there's a little sassy side to her that hasn't quite come out yet, but who knows, we might see it. And as for myself, as Danny mentioned, her and I have a podcast together. You can find us on Twitter at @thebox_podcast, and you can find me on Twitter at JLN Writes, WRITES. I'm a fiction writer. I'm a tech journalist. And I love games. I write a whole bunch. So yeah.
At first, I thought you said attack journalist, and
attack journalist.
That's a different type of journalist.
I'd believe it. I'd believe that.
It's
going after the big stories.
Right. It's like a step in between regular journalism and like gonzo journalism. So.
All right. Awesome. Well, welcome everybody. I am excited to be here. Fine way to spend a birthday. I do accept checks. If you're looking for something to do for me, go ahead and back my Kickstarter. That's better than a check. But no pressure. Only if you like what you see here, which puts the pressure on all of you playing the game. Right. So let's move in. We have a lot has happened since we've gone. Now, just gone to this point, I will just summarize briefly. These are a group of Whitlanders, the best of the Oathstar tribe, who are the clan, rather. They call themselves clans. They were sent off to restore a fallen goddess, Oathstar, back to the sky. Since they saw another star in the sky, they figure, why not bring our favorite goddess back too? So they have sent them off to an ambiguous place called the Horizon, ambiguously to the west. And that's kind of what you've been doing. Although to get west, you had to go north. Long story. But here you are. You're heading back to the west by going south. And you are looking for your way to Riverlands, because there is a community of Darwish there that maybe can help, or at least will be a nice place to rest. Since you've had a run-in with large sea creatures. But you've restored peace to a Seabeard village on the coast, so congratulations.
What are the Darwish again?
They are, they're kind of the cultural folk. Like they're really into beautiful buildings and philosophy and art. And they've sort of been that way all the way past the stars and the fall of the stars. Okay. So they're kind of a great place if you want to go and watch a good play, look up some books in a library.
Yeah. Okay. So I'll wait until we get into a quest scene, but Grumble's going to have some stuff to do when we hit these people, the Darwish.
The problem is, though, as you were heading there, to get to the Riverlands, you have to go through the wetlands, and apparently there's some corruption out here because the residue of this corruption has been taking over the water. And when we last left you, there were zombie-like creatures climbing into your boat. These are the Starve, which are insatiably hungry, monstrous creatures of the corruption. And that means that there's a one of these star shards around where the god has fallen. But that also means that this area is probably full of all kinds of nasty things. But who cares about the area? Who cares about the Darwish? Who cares about anything except the fact that there are these monsters clawing their way into the boat all around. I mean, have these long kind of deformed fingers, and they're gripping, and they're quickly coming in, and just sort of like amphibious arachnids just crawling their way into the boat, making horrible crunching noises with their bones.
You mean our incredible jazz hands in the beginning didn't scare them off?
No, they I don't know that they knew what that was.
They're obviously not turned by the power of friendship.
No, obviously not.
This is not an anime.
Okay. Well, you say that now.
Rob will make it one.
Yeah.
Now it's a challenge.
Grumble only wants to get more powerful. That's his new goal. What do I know about because you said they're called the Strive. Is this a type of creature that Grumble would have known about through songs and poems and things, or even just travelers that he trades with saying, we came upon these Strive in the woods outside of here?
They are, they're well known. The idea that corrupted Star Shard would take over the locals over time and remove what was human or mortal and replace it with hunger.
Mm-hmm.
That's kind of that's an old tale that goes way back. And so you would know enough.
So what do we have to shoot him in the head? Do we have to burn him with fire? What would I know from the people swinging through town who faced them before?
They will continue to move until they have no more limbs or nervous function. So really, you have to separate the head. But that's sort of like it doesn't stop the creature from going, though. I mean, it just means that it can't see you.
Head is more of an abstract concept with these creatures. It's
they're moving
more of
entirely
a vibe than a body part.
right.
Their head.
And don't forget to double tap.
Yeah.
Is there an issue with being bitten by these creatures?
It hurts.
Okay.
And they don't really bite as much as they what's the word? Oh, here it is. Ravenously tear.
Sure.
It's sort of when, a lion hasn't eaten in a couple of weeks and somebody drops some sort of dead antelope in front of it.
Okay.
It's
But
a
we're not
hunger.
gonna,
It's a hunger that never goes away. So
Okay.
as far as they're concerned, they have to eat every ounce of flesh.
but we're not going to get corrupted.
Well, if you stay close enough to the shard,
It's not an
line-
anime, Kurt.
Hey,
In other words, we don't want an 18-foot giant canned zombie starve running around.
I'm just wondering if these guys need a mask mandate. Like, do we gotta come?
I'm going to hit one of these things with a hammer that I use to tinker on objects that I salvage.
Yeah. Now Grumble's probably not a target.
No, he's made of rocks.
Right. But the rest of you are, and there, there's a lot of reflecting happening here. I need to reinforce the idea that these things are climbing into your boat quickly.
Yeah.
What do you do?
Well, no, she's going to use magic. I don't know what anybody else is going to do, but she's going to use power word. She's going to go all Mod Deep, some power word, and just, at least attempt to get them off the boat.
Just create a force to throw them off.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. Well, that's strike. So you will use your courage for that.
Mm-hmm.
And getting right into it. So obviously we are confronting the starve threat, and depending on how you're using this,
you called them starve.
starve.
Sorry.
Yeah,
I
that's all right.
got it wrong.
It's close enough. Maybe
How
that's your
embarrassing.
dialect. That might be like the Whitlander dialect.
Yes. Yeah, we'll go with that. Starve. You better add to the book, aka strive among the Whitlanders. I want that
It's
to be
canon.
It's canon now. Thank you.
All right. So, so we'll do courage, which is my D6. And
Also, not to interrupt, but if you haven't really, you've been going along this journey for a while. So if you've used any of your discipline or if you've had any harm, that's all gone. You can.
oh, okay, cool.
You're basically fully rested because it's been like a couple of weeks since you were at the coast.
Can I get for pastoral as well? Because I'm fighting alongside my friends here.
You are, yes.
Okay. And that's a D6 I add, right? Correct?
That's right. Uh-huh.
Okay. And I will use Why not? Let's just go all D6s across the board. Discipline of words. And, she's going to use a word. Like I said, she's going to go all Maud Deeb with her staff. Just
right.
boom.
Power word.
Power word. All right, let's see what
Let's
we
hope
got
nothing
here.
happens to this fragile little boat.
I'll take 17.
Hint, hint.
17. Oh, it's not that little. There's an owlbear, or not owlbear. Did I say owlbear? I meant otter bear.
Yes. I believe I did that.
Also known as owlbears among the Whitlanders. The otter bear.
Given, because of their similar screech sounds that they make.
Right.
Grumble is the apex of slang and words amongst the Whitlanders. Just if Grumble says it, that's what it is. He makes fetch happen. He makes fetch happen.
Yeah, we're gonna do this like DC Comics Hyper Time, where every mistake we made is just us dipping into a parallel universe. Right. That's correct, and then we pop back into the master timeline.
We can't be wrong.
Correct.
Well, that's a pretty good roll. So yeah, you is it the slam the staff down kind of thing, and and a bunch of the starve go flying back into the swamp. The next time that they come, which is like almost immediately, they're coming in twofold. So what used to be 6, there's now 12, and they're kind of crumbling back. And now you have a bit of time because they've been pushed off, but now there's more than before, tearing through the swamp to get to you. And it looks like, and it's sort of we haven't placed it, but I believe this is at night. It's early evening. And when you kind of just look at it, even with your if you're well good at seeing in the dark, or I'm assuming maybe there's a torch or something, you just see like the entire swamp is moving. It's like there are millions of them out there. You can't really tell, but all you see is the occasional flesh moving, scuttling, the sound of broken branches and probably bones as they're contorting. They're moving very unnaturally. And they're rushing. You are the first bit of food they have seen in a long time. You smell great.
Well, of course she does. I mean, I thought that was a given, but yeah. To them. Oh, right. Sorry.
So we're probably not going to be able to fight. We're probably not going to be able to kill all of them, exterminate all of them.
Now that magic kind of definitely pushed them off the boat and has given you some time, but yeah, it's a problem.
So we either need to get out of here fast, or we need some way to protect ourselves sort of long term and keep them off the boat to get through here.
Yeah. I could start rowing faster, but maybe some magic would help us get up this river a little more quickly. Reverse the flow or something. Come on. You're so good at this.
Also, keep in mind, you're at a point in a river where it's hard to tell the difference between the river and the swamp. I mean, there's definitely a current taking you through, but it's like it seems like there's just water everywhere.
Okay.
That means it's a bayou, not a swamp.
That's right. That's what I said. Swamp is
also known as swamps by the Whitlanders.
Yeah. Oh, it's the reverse. It's a swamp, but it's known as a bayou by the Whitlanders.
Yeah.
Renoy kind of wants to try setting them on fire.
No.
And seeing if that works. I mean, since there are like branches and stuff everywhere. Yeah, she wants to try to cast a curse to light all of these zombie thingies on fire. So, in the hopes that it will kill them and prevent them from coming into the boat as Emir rows faster.
And as you're rolling, Amir, you feel like this because you're doing kind of like a push thing, right? Is that right? You feel the pole is getting yanked, like they're grabbing it, and you see hands just crawling up the pole to get to you.
Oh yeah, it I pull it up to look at it, and I just like.
Gonna knock down my screen.
Get away!
Theatrics.
No.
Hit a starve with another starve. Just
bad strive.
All right. So what does this magic look like? You are you're casting a fireball essentially, right?
Hmm.
That's the idea.
Yeah.
So you're using what discipline? If you are, you don't have to use a discipline.
Oh, okay. I mean, I just want to make a fireball.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I think this is a full on. Well, I mean, there's a couple ways we can play this. There's you just killing the bastards, or killing, or you are creating a wall essentially just to protect you from them getting to you.
I would like to try to simultaneously set some of them on fire, but create a wall of fire around us so we can easily flow through the river.
All right, so then
Or
that's
the
going to be a
bayou.
virtue roll as opposed to a courage because you're protecting as
Okay.
opposed to striking.
And Renoy is a wicker. Is that right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay.
So which discipline? A bit of curse. You already told me. All right. So
Yeah.
so you use your virtue die, and then if you want, you can spend a curse.
Yeah. Let me spend a curse. And that's so if my virtue die is a D6, that's another D6, right?
Yeah. If you want to spend one of your curse discipline die, you can choose D8, D6, or D4.
Oh, okay. Give me
But then you have to rest before you recoup that die.
okay. Give me a D8 then.
All right.
All right. I do this and then I roll a D20, right?
Right. So you pick the highest of the pool and add it to the D20.
I am so sorry, y'all. I only got a total of 8.
Remember, in this game, failure means we play as well.
Okay.
So the story happens. It continues to happen. But things are going to go a little sideways. So you have you can add an experience. So there's what we call it waxing in this game. So under the stat, you'll see that there's some boxes you can check for waxing.
Mm-hmm.
And you just check your virtue.
All right.
And when you get enough of those, you can increase your virtue die.
Awesome.
So, fire. It does a couple of things. First of all, it lights up the region. And when you drop the first, before I explain this, I'd like to see visually what it looks like when you drop this spell. I mean, what is it? Is there a ritual or something that goes along with it?
Mm-hmm. I essentially, or Renoy kind of like, she has to kind of like hover a little bit into a nearby tree to like yank off some branches. But then as she's hovering there, she kind of closes her eyes and meditates for a brief second, and then all of a sudden the branches in her hands kind of just like light up, and then she throws them like toward all the zombie creatures, and when that happens it creates a wall of flame. Yeah.
So this wall of flame erupts, you know, 15, 20 feet high, and it illuminates the entire region, and you can just see it's like the entire swamp, the entire bayou is crawling. There are hundreds of thousands of these things out there. And they're all kind of coming in this confluence towards your boat. So basically anything else that's lived is gone now. And this is, if you've had time to think, which you probably don't, you might wonder, how come there's so many in the middle of a bayou? Like there's something wrong here. This is like, I can expect maybe a few who used to be like fishermen that were out here that maybe got converted by corruption, but we're talking hundreds of thousands. Like that's a city of these things, and they're moving in. So you see that. So that's one thing. But then the other thing is the wall of fire successfully catches many of these starve on fire. And they just, and then they continue to come through. But now they're on fire. And several of them, like 4 or 5 of them, are now crawling into the boat. And the boat is catching on fire. And you're just kind of this big blast of heat is coming as they are advancing in. And challenge.
Okay, I have an idea. Since Amir is rowing more quickly and all of these things are now on fire, Grumble knows a little ditty for summoning the rain,
Oh,
but he's going to summon like torrential downpour that will hopefully put out the or actually it might even do like hail and sleet or something, but that might be more difficult in the bayou. I'm trying to think of freezing them or raising the water level and like the current so that we can push through more quickly. Rain was the first thing I thought of, so we'll go with that. He is gonna sing a song called "The Rain Was as Salty as Your Tears When I Left You." It's an old Whitlander jig, very happy song. That this horrible guy leaves his girlfriend, and she's so happy to be rid of him that she starts crying tears of joy, and the guy who left is real salty about it. So he this is of course a banjo accompanied song.
I had bagpipes in my head, so now I have to reset the course.
I mean,
So
he can
banjo.
play it on bagpipes. He does the circular breathing out of one side and then sings the lyrics out the other side. It's pretty impressive. It's kind of like doing ventriloquism while you drink water. But he's going to start singing that and trying to gather together the rains. These wetland rains, monsoon stuff happening over here.
I think I want this to be because it's one of those murky areas where we have to decide the intent.
Mm-hmm.
I think because of the way you're doing this and choosing to do it, this is less about protecting those in the boat and stopping the threat and more about showing off how talented you are. Is that fair?
Oh yeah, I'm gonna blow the doors off this place.
Yeah. All right. So this is a prestige roll.
Yeah, sure.
And I think the move is condemn. You know, it could be either condemn or navigate others, but I like the idea of condemning the zombies to the wrath of your music.
To a watery grave.
Yeah.
I'm also sort of thinking like blight, washing them away type thing, getting more water flow through here tends to like purify that. I mean, not really, but
yeah,
in my head, it makes sense. So I'm going to be rolling a D20 for just, you always roll a D20, a D4 for my prestige. And then I'm going to spend my D8 from Cantor on this.
Remember, you all have a favor right now too. If you wanted to spend that, you can add a D6 to your pool. You could also introduce truths.
I'm gonna roll my favor as well. All right, treat me right. Hey, it's 17.
Okay.
Go with that. It's the results on the D20 plus the highest of the 3 additional dice, right? In your pool.
Yeah, that's right.
Or however many additional dice. In my case, 3. Yeah, so I got a 17.
Okay. So the rain starts slow and then just becomes a downpour as the song continues. The fire is out, within moments, and the ones that were on fire are still in the boat, but they're no longer on fire. So yay. but now they're confused. I think this is sort of a hesitation of they're looking around. The being of consciousness that's still within these creatures is sort of not sure if this is a threat or something to eat or what's going on. So there's some confusion with the 4 or 5 that have climbed into the boat. The rest of them are there's a flooding, basically. That's what you were aiming for, right? So the torrential rain kind of lifts up the boat, and it's flowing a little faster now as the current is picked up, and you're seeing less of these figures as they're being swept away in the current as well. Some of them are kind of pulling on, tagging onto the boat, but those multitudes that you saw are scattered and disorganized. They're still out there, but they're not all coming to the boat all at once.
Are there still any on the boat?
Yeah, there's the ones that were on fire and are standing confused, and then there are some that are clinging to the side as the storm is trying to sweep them away.
Okay. I'm gonna Muscles strike. So I'm gonna tell Muscles to go and like snap their bones because he's good at his mouth is made for chomping rocks. So yeah, we're gonna attack these things.
Yeah. Okay. So Muscles is going on the strike. That's if you like, it could go either way. It depends on how Muscles is with you. If this is sort of an extension of your will, then that's just a strike.
Yeah, I think this is like a hunting command that I've taught him. Like
it could be a prestige if you're navigating Muscles.
I think it's a strike.
Yeah. Okay.
I think this one is a strike.
All right. So that's courage, and Muscles is essentially going to crunch through all the ones that are on the boat.
Okay. So I got my D20. I get a D6 for fighting alongside my pals. I am gonna take my D8 from Hunter because I'm trying to kill some creatures here. And do I get anything else? I feel like this counts as the balance between nature and society trying to kill undead things or like zombie type things.
There is a society of them.
Oh, okay. So I'm actually
technically. I mean, I guess it's depends on how you look at it. But I'm going to give it to you because there's something else going on here that's abnormal. I mean, it's one thing to have a few zombies that were corrupted, but it's entirely another to have this many.
Right.
So there's something going on beyond a normal corruption.
Right. And I think our intention is definitely to get past these to go and deal with the corruption and not like just get out of here. So
right. We know there's a shard somewhere nearby. That's
okay, so I'm rolling 2d6, a d8, and a d20. I got the 6 plus a 7 is numbers. What's that, like a 13?
Okay, well, that's good enough.
Yeah, so Muscle starts like chomping them and then like spitting them over the side of the boat because they probably taste bad.
Yeah, and so they're easily taken down by the giant bear otter, and the boat is shimmying a bit now because the ones that have grasped on the side are tearing the boat up, and so this is basically a Viking longship. So it's essentially one board, and they're actually going in through the grain and ripping the board up. And so the ship is buckling a bit, and a couple more of these things, and it's going down, which is bad because you're in a big current and you don't know how deep this is now. Torrential rain is still going. The fire is all out, so but you know there's the burn scar from where it was burning inside the boat, and there are still several of these on the ship. So what do you want to do?
Inosi, do you have a solution?
I mean, the thing that I know the best. I mean, I can try using some magic again to try to get rid of these last few, so we can move on. You know, yeah. Let's try that. How many did you say? I mean, you said there were a few, right?
Yeah, there's several, and they're breaking the boat. They're actually tearing apart how the boat is built and breaking this board apart. So in the next moment or so, you will lose. It'll snap everything, and basically it's bowed, so it'll snap open and crack, and you will all be in the water. Okay.
Well, maybe the better thing I should do is try to keep the boat from tearing apart while you three try to figure out what to do about these guys. So that's what she's going to do. She's like, oh, crap, we don't want to go into this water because I'm sure it's gross. I'm sure they've been peeing in it or whatever. So, ew.
Yep.
I know, ew, right? So she does not want to go in this water. So, we will do.
Do you know what all that ammonia could do to my scales?
I know, right? Tinge them. They're beautiful blue. Turn them. It's bad. All right. So what ability?
You're gonna roll virtue because you're trying to defend.
Okay. All right. Cool.
The boat.
Well,
And then anything that you can add to that, depending on how you're doing it.
Yeah. So she's going to draw a rune. Is what she's going to do. She's going to use rune, and I'm going to use. Why not the D8? Why not? Why not the D8? Why not?
Treat yourself.
Treat myself. Yeah, and I'll still take a pastoral because hey, we're fighting here together.
Yep.
Yeah, so I'll take those and I'll see what we get. Oh, okay.
Yes.
I will take a 23, please.
Oh, I thought it was the other way.
I thought it
I
was
have
the other one.
checked off the last stage of the starve threat. You get a favor,
Ooh.
Nosi, and you tell me what happens. The starve are off the table, so you can tell me anything, really.
Okay, so she kind of steps to like the middle, so she can kind of encompass the whole boat, and she takes her staff and she puts it down, like heading it towards the water or the underneath of the boat, and she starts drawing this rune, and it kind of develops out under. You see the water glowing underneath, and if you could see underneath it, you'd see it's this rune that's kind of spreading out underneath the boat, that's kind of creating like this net around it, holding it together. But what it also does is it's kind of electric a little bit, and it's kind of like, oh crap, so the starve that are kind of on the boat are like, and like falling into the water and stuff. And, they're like, like on an electric fence, just kind of like, with magical energy. But now we have this kind of rune encompassing the bottom of the boat.
I see.
And up and around.
And they're not going to come near that. So they're still out there, but they won't attack. All right. Well, I mean, this is your life for the rest of the night. There's this lurking starve. You can hear them groaning, snapping, swimming, sloshing.
I don't like that. Not a fan.
Is the rain still there after a while?
It
How long does the
probably
rain
tapers off after a bit.
And so the flooding stops and you're kind of back at that crawl and you just see them out there. The rune is keeping them away, but they're out there. You have some quiet moments on the boat listening to all of the horrible sound effects coming from the darkness.
Really messed up ASMR.
Reverse ASMR.
Oh wow, that's so great.
So many tingles.
So, yeah, the rune's kind of bluish, so we also have kind of like this bluish light, kind of, almost like we have a, things underneath our car, like, if you see a car with like lights, that's kind of what it looks like, a little bluish kind of thing as we're going through the water.
You'll occasionally hear them find something to eat. And so there's this collision of gnashing and gnarling out on the darkness and screeching, and then it's gone. Probably a crocodile or who knows what.
That has to be unsettling for Muscles. Emir's no good at it, but he starts humming like a calming song that he sings when he's taming an animal. So that's something that Muscles would be familiar with. And it's mostly like a rumble in his chest with a few notes that sort of bubble out of his mouth. It's, I don't know if it's loud enough, but it's hopefully calming for Muscles. And
the Muscle doing that, like that tight ball huddle next to you like dogs do on the 4th of July.
Yeah. And he's still doing his rowing, but he's trying to like hum out a calming song to keep.
Well, you're at a juncture here. You think you could probably trace this corruption to the shard. Grumble is also pretty certain where the river is flowing, and you know that you could make it to the Riverlands from here pretty quickly as well.
So what do y'all think is it on us to find, investigate, and potentially heal this blight, or is this something that, this whole place has been blighted? It's not like anybody's going to move back in here once we do that necessarily. Or maybe we're not even capable of it. I don't know.
I just have a bad feeling about where all these starved came from.
Well, I mean, they would have to have been. You mean like where the living people were that became starved?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure. I have a bad feeling that this might be them. That if we tried to head to that city, might not be anymore.
Well, but that also brings up the question of whether we should head there in case these starve are from somewhere else, right? And they're moving outward and multiplying, then the city might need, like the Riverlands might need defending. I guess we don't know. I guess it really depends on whether the Riverlands haven't been touched by the blight, are fighting off the blight, or have been destroyed by the blight. I don't know.
Well,
I don't know if there's another settlement near here that would supply this many starve.
Don't we, if we find the shard that's causing all this chaos, maybe if we find it, destroy it, do whatever we need to do, like all of this goes away?
I don't know. I've never destroyed a shard before.
Would any one of us have? I mean, I know she has some magical knowledge, but I don't know if that means she would know what could potentially happen if they like cleanse the shard.
You're in sort of uncharted territory.
Yeah.
I mean, you've never heard of anybody trying to accomplish something like that.
Yeah, that's what I thought.
And with the Whitlands, as far as you know, I mean, you don't. At least nobody in the Asar clan has ever even seen a shard.
Yeah.
Okay, so it sounds like, I mean, to me, Grumble's always going to want to go to like where the people are to talk with them and learn from them. So that combined with the fact that we wouldn't even necessarily know what to do with the shard when we got there. So I think even if the city is threatened, then at least knowing that and then moving on to the next one to warn them would be worthwhile.
I don't like the idea of just leaving this here. At least without trying something. If we are going to the town to find out if they know anything about how to cleanse the shard, and then we are coming back, then that makes sense to me. But I do not like the idea of us just leaving this. There are too many of these.
Well, listen here, Amir. We're not just leaving it forever. We're leaving it for now, and maybe we can wrangle up a posse when we get to the Riverlands. I'd rather head for the shard with some information and a little bit of backup than just going off half-cocked.
Well, if our mission is to gather information to then fix it, then I am okay. But I do not like the idea of just moving on and warning and going.
Listen, Amir, if you want to hunt for a particular type of animal, particular type of quarry, what is the first thing that you do before you go out into the woods?
Well, I would try to understand the animal, learn where it eats, sleeps, what its habits are like.
And that's what I'm saying. I want to know how the shard eats, sleeps, what its poop looks like, what its tracks look like. I want to know everything. I want to know the right arrowhead to have when I fire at this thing.
But with an animal, that is possible as you track it, as you follow the animal. You learn those things as you go.
Yeah, but wouldn't you learn them first from somebody who's hunted that animal before?
This is true. If I knew someone who was familiar with such an animal, I would go and talk to them first. But
so if you were in a new area, and correct me if I'm wrong, but if you were in a new area, then you would talk to the hunters from that area about the quarry that can be found in the vicinity.
well, yes.
And where would you find them? Where would you find those hunters?
Yeah.
My fear is that those hunters will not be in the city when we get there. If this corruption has spread and there are so many of these, how far will we travel?
How far are we going to get if this blight has come out from the shards and we already have this many starve in our area? Then how far are we going to get?
I have an idea, gentlemen. So there's obviously a lot of unknowns here. You know, we might as well kind of
Fiddle
explore.
contest.
I cannot play fiddle.
And for the second one. The only, y'all are right. The only way, we have to ask other people about this. But another possibility is we trap one of these things and take it with us so we can study it.
You want to bring a starve into a town where the blight has not gotten to?
Hey, if they can do it on Game of Thrones with a White Walker, we can totally do it with a starve.
I have not read that story.
X in Game of Thrones. X. No Game of Thrones references.
Well, if you want to capture one of these things, we could do that. We could capture it. But a feral animal is very difficult to tame. And it's harder to... It is difficult to catch them alive, for one. And even if we do, keeping it docile until we get to a town could be difficult. I'm not saying I won't try it, but it could be dangerous.
If we cut it up into pieces, it will be pretty docile then, wouldn't it?
I don't think I want to do that.
I'm sorry. When I'm wet and cranky, sometimes my mind goes to dark places.
Well, I mean, how confident are you we could learn something from one of these starved?
I don't know. I mean, the best thing to do would be to observe it.
Look, if you want, they obviously don't really like me that much. So, if you want one of these things, I can get one for you. Question is, where are we going to keep it? And what are you expecting to learn from it?
What are any of us expecting to learn from it? We're dealing with unknowns here,
But I mean,
There's
what,
a
you're
lot
going to
of
poke it? You're going to light it on fire? You're going to call it names? What's the plan?
They did not like the fire.
True.
So maybe
But not
there's something
many
else. Maybe
creatures
there's something else that's even worse than fire.
Well, I mean, what we have is three essential paths from what I'm hearing. One, we just try to go to the shard, and I'm not advocating for anyone, just kind of laying it out that we go to the shard, try to do what we can, even though we don't know that much about it. But honestly, in my experience, not anybody really knows much about these things. Shards, what to do? I mean, who have we even heard that's run into one? So I don't think we'd be any better off in terms of how to get rid of the shard or deal with it with anybody else, because I don't think there's really anyone out there that has that knowledge.
The Riverlands they have philosophers and scientists and scholars and hunters and wizards and all kinds of crazy stuff.
Right. That's the second option. We can try to go to the Riverlands and hope that there's people there and hope that they know something. The other is, grab one of these starved, or I suppose we could grab a starved and go to the Riverlands and do both.
No, I don't think we should bring one of those to their doorstep just in case there's people there. So if there isn't anybody there, nobody who can help us, then we come back and take one.
Well,
For me personally, my vote is that we go to the Riverlands just to see if it's still there. Just, maybe approach it cautiously, see if it's still there. If there is, we can attempt to warn them, find out if they know anything, and come back. If not, we can go back to the Shard and see what we can do.
I'm fine with that. We get inside of Riverlands, and if we see that it's already been taken over by the Black, then we pull a fishhook turn and head on back to the to where we think the Shard is.
Okay.
I'm good with that.
This is an acceptable plan. And no, see, I have a question. You were able to make contact with your ring goddess, no? The one that stopped the rains on us?
Grumble and I did a
I did not witness.
offering.
I was outside of the cave. It was very small.
Yes, Grumble and I did do an offering, and they accepted that and protected us from the rain in return.
Though that was the rain goddess of that area of the lowlands. There might be another rain goddess or god or spirit or what have you out here, but I'm not sure I'm not sure there are ever people out here. So
that is true.
I don't know.
I suppose if we just start communing all willy nilly, we could end up connecting with something.
Grumble and Anosi look at each other, kind of like turn back to it. Don't work like that.
Oh, no.
No, you can't just. There's no such thing as communing willy nilly.
Oh, I have not witnessed many communing ceremonies.
Well,
it'd be like if I tried to make a deal with you by just speaking gibberish. Now that wouldn't work very well, would it, Amir?
I don't know. I have worked with traders, which we did not share a common language, but we were able to communicate in some way.
Anosi, can you explain what I'm talking about?
Well, in order for it to be effective, think of it this way: deities tend to be, they have a bit of an ego. They like to think that they're special. They're deities, they're gods. So they want to know that you're talking to them, that you are specifically asking for their favor. So when you are going to commune with a deity, when you are going to make an offering, it will be beneficial, more effective, completely effective if you actually do it specifically for that deity to pacify them, essentially. Does that make sense?
Yes. Oh. The deities in this area need better criers.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, that's what we're saying. You got it, Amir. So let's turn this boat towards the Riverlands, and we'll see what comes around the bend.
Yeah, the capital of the Darwish is called Bregden, but most everybody knows it as Sundered Hold. And that's because it was built on the remains of an ancient stronghold from back in the Highcaster Empire. And they built a citadel around what was once a crumbling stronghold. So that is the bastion of civilization. According to them, probably the bastion of culture and knowledge. They are well protected where they are because they're on a confluence of rivers. So they can get trade, but they can easily cut off access as well. To your knowledge, there's never really been a war in Darwish. They've been called the Fortunate People because the land on which they grew their culture was considered good luck. And they are, they're really a good place to go on a normal day. But as you get closer to the Riverlands, you know something isn't right. Maybe your suspicions are true, because the blight has extended far past the wetlands and is now going along what should be a pretty busy trade route along the large river. And it's a mature river. It goes all the way to the sea. And very strong but slow current. And there should be merchant vessels along here. And there are many docks that you pass from the farming communities that have been abandoned. And what used to be lush farms are now in just decay and rot. And the river itself, murky and inky. And sometimes you see what should be, schools of fish in areas like that are just now fish bottom up floating on the water. And then you finally get to see Sundered Hold. And, this is probably something that Grumble or anybody that's done anybody that's revered the stories and the tales would long to see. I mean, this is supposed to be the beautiful citadel of Bregden, magnificently built over the rivers with bridges connecting many of the towers. And it was one of the few it was that one and like a couple of other cities in Highcaster that survived the cataclysm hundreds of years ago. So it's one of the oldest cities on record. So you should be excited to see it, but when you do see it, it looks like it's been a victim of war. A lot of the towers have toppled. These big, magnificent walls that used to protect it are leveled. And you see nothing but crows everywhere, feasting on the remains of something that's out there. And you have not seen a person during this journey. It's a huge, huge city, so you have time before you arrive if you wanted to change your plans or do something in preparation, but you don't know what you're going into.
All right, y'all, I think we just found out where all those starved came from.
I don't like being right sometimes.
That is a problem. You are right a lot.
A blessing and a curse. A blessing and a curse.
Totally.
Well,
All right, so what do we do now?
Well, if I have not trained in reading documents, but I understand that some accountings are written down. Perhaps we could go into the city, find one of the repositories of knowledge, and collect information about the local gods. So when we reach out to them, we are not speaking gibberish.
there could also be some information on what happened here. Somebody could have written it down.
Amir, just when I think that you could not be more ignorant about the way that people share stories, you go and say something like that and completely redeem yourself. That is a fantastic idea. I cannot wait to go into this city, have a look around, and find some written records.
Well, that is a relief, because up until you said redeem, I thought this was an insult.
No.
Oh, okay. But sort of a little bit still.
Look, let's head over there to where I think there's a little inlet that we can get closer to the main citadel.
Right. So we're now doing reconnaissance in this city. And Osi looks very, very sad. She'd probably heard stories about how beautiful this city was, and now it's gone. So as we kind of make our way in, she's just sort of, looking very contemplative, draining. So it's very emo, probably,
Y'all, this is depressing.
The longship is going underneath broken bridges. There's one bridge in particular that probably held a marketplace. It was one of those large bridges that has buildings on it. And it's just dilapidated, worn down. Doesn't look like it's been attacked, but it's been abandoned. Some parts do look like they've been attacked.
Turn sideways so I can fit through the gap in the bridge.
You get closer to the citadel, you can pull up, and as you are coming up to the docks near the citadel, you do see people. Finally, the citadel is guarded. There are shielded, armored people on the ramparts, and it looks like they have secured that building. And when you arrive, you hear a trumpet. And the guards are sort of scurrying along the ramparts. We're talking 100-foot walls. These are huge. I mean, obviously, they kept it together there.
Is it obvious that the trumpet is related to our arrival?
Oh, yes.
Mm.
And I'll
you-
see you're muted.
Oh, I just said, well, that's something at least. Some survived.
Yeah. Well,
I'm going to yell out to him.
In
Hey,
what
y'all.
language?
Nice to, in Rishan.
Mhm.
I figured that there probably not every soldier of like this area would speak that, but I imagine like well educated, commanders or captains or whatever might have a chance to speak the merchant speak of this area.
Yeah, you can hear them talking. They're speaking in the native tongue. It's called Forsen tongue.
Mm-hmm.
And they're communicating, but they don't understand you. But you get the universal sort of like wait.
Like look around like there's a current. I don't know what you.
There's you can go up to the dock, which I assumed you were.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. So and there's a large boy, I'm losing the word. It's when you have a huge gate on a wall.
Portcullis.
Thank you. There's a
Hey!
portcullis.
Also known as a portcullis in wetlands.
And you hear some engineering and clinking and chains, and then the gate raises, and there is a sortie led by some sort of well-decorated officer on horseback, and there are a couple of other mortals with them, and there's a unicorn, white, black mane, and they all come out. It's sort of a procession, and they're not like attacking. They're coming out in sort of a procession, and a trumpet comes off of the wall, signaling that the sortie is out of the gate. And you see archers all lined up. Now they're not posturing, but they are watching. And then the unicorn comes forward. Our
You look
weary eyes cannot believe what we are seeing. You hear this in your heads.
Mm-hmm. I'm going to take it that you're the one in charge here.
I am all
Well-
that remains of the Great Council. My name is Esther.
Okay.
You are
Esther.
welcome in our city, but please, you must hurry. We don't know when they will return.
I'm going to go out on a limb and say that when you say when they will return, you mean the starve.
No, I mean the Hydoni.
Do I know what Hydoni are?
Please. And they kind of move around you as sort of an escort to try to get you to get inside.
I mean, I'm fine with tying off the boat and heading in with them.
Yeah, Nosy will
Yep.
follow.
Yeah. I duck to the portcullis.
Soon as you're in, they close. And you're in this inner courtyard, outer courtyard. And it looks like this is where, the remainder of the city, this is where they are. There are thousands of commoners and tents and doing their best to keep their trade going. And then there's another wall that leads into the rest of the citadel. And you can see the legendary Sundered Hold up there, and it's still standing, and it's kind of a beacon to days long past. But then the rest of the citadel has been built around it, and it is glorious, and it is well protected. It is not destroyed.
Grumble's going to kind of elbow Enosi and point up to the citadel like, hey, at least one thing still looks like you've heard.
Yes. It would have been a shame if all the knowledge they had in there would have been lost completely. Although I'm sure they lost a lot as well. She's going to turn to, is the unicorn there still?
Yes, she's observing, and you don't know what she's doing because she seems quiet. She might be communicating with the others.
My apologies. I don't know what type counselor.
What language are you speaking?
She'll speak. What does she know? She knows Woodlander and probably. I didn't have a second one, but she probably would know one that would have to do with a magic or something like that if she thought it would be useful. Perhaps.
When you're speaking, you hear in your mind Esther's voice. Please allow me into your thoughts so we can communicate this way, unless you understand force and tongue or high speak.
Okay, she will. She'll
Okay.
let her in. And
You kind of feel a presence now inside of you, and it's a little odd and jarring at first, but she was invited, so
we've come from the Whitlands. And we have come searching. Our quest is to bring back the star revered by our people. And when we came across the starved here in this area on our journey. But you say the Hydoni are the ones who did this?
there's much to discuss. But first, let's feast, for we haven't seen travelers in many years.
Sure.
And it does look like she was talking to others, because now there's like a full-on regiment of soldiers that are setting up what looks like a parade of sorts. They have musicians coming, and it looks that they're preparing to welcome you. If they had had time, this is what they would have done before you arrived.
So it's apparent that the city's been like this for a while. Then.
Yeah, at least a couple of years. Yeah. They're used to it now. You can tell that the commoners have settled into this outer courtyard. They have, it's like a big street market that goes around the entire citadel, and there's also encampments everywhere. And you are being watched like you are celebrities. The commoners are all coming up, and the reason the guards are there is trying to keep the people away, as they're all just coming to see what's going on. And some of them are trying to offer you produce that there's like meager potatoes and turnips and things that they were able to grow in the courtyard, or maybe live chickens that they're trying to give you. Some of them you can see have lesions on them and are trying to. It looks like they're trying to ask you to heal them or something, but that you can't understand their language. So they're just but there's just multitudes of them as you just are received by this city.
Muscles definitely eats anything offered to him.
The chicken is like, but the guards aren't holding them back.
Poor person who's offering the chicken to be healed. Like, oh no, that's not. Oh, whoops.
Gonna be sort of pushing them off. Like, I don't even eat y'all. Y'all don't need to give me anything. You just keep that. That's for you. Y'all give that to y'all's babies.
So that's what you're doing now. They do receive you, unless you want to do something else while this is all happening. But they're going to receive you into the Great Hall and in the proper way. And the unicorn at some point leaves to be the reception. So when you do finally make it into the Great Hall, which is astounding, it's like walking into a Gothic cathedral. It's just absolutely beautiful, well constructed. It's the sort of thing that painters have come from all over Highcaster to get a view of. And it just goes all the way up to a dais where the unicorn is standing, Esther. And somebody has put a large violet cloak over her.
And Osi whispers to whoever's close, and she's like, "Can you imagine what the city must have looked like?" Whoever happens to be like walking next to her.
Emir hears something way down by. He looks. What? he leans down.
She said, "Can you imagine what it was like when it before it was all messed up?"
I can imagine. This is the first building I have ever been in.
It would have been crazy.
That I can open my arms.
This place is beautiful. It's gorgeous in here. It's not anything like outside.
No, it's just quiet.
Imagine if the whole town looked on the outside like this place looks on the inside. That would be crazy pants.
I bet it did at one point, probably.
That probably just gave me an idea for a song.
If the stories and legends are true, it did.
There is a Sael standing next. Sael is the angel creature that is standing next to the unicorn. Equine, if we want to use the proper word. And when you approach, the angelic creature says, "Thank you for coming to our city." And he's speaking in Rishon. "I am Ikael. I am your, I suppose, your contact, for you are from faraway lands, and I know a tongue that is common."
Awesome. Well, thank you for the very warm welcome to your historic city. And we notice that you seem to have fallen on hard times. Is that correct?
It is true. We wish to know more about you and your journey before we discuss too much of what has happened here.
Oh, well, my name is Grumble. These are my friends. We're known as the God Tamers. I don't know if you've heard of us before, but we're pretty well known in like the lowlands on the other side of the bayou, and we like to party. But we're also we're out here because we have noticed the new star in the sky. I'm sure you have as well, and we have come out here because we think that there is a potential for the Oathstar to. There are some wolves outside. That my dog does not like this subplot at all.
Opinions.
Don knows how Grumble is. Like, oh no, stop it! Stop it before.
But anyway, we were coming out here in case there were going to be more stars showing up, and we ended up coming upon your town after a pretty hearty helping of starves out in the middle of the bayou. Anything there have anything to do with what's going on with Brett with Dishwater? Darwish. That's the name of your town.
Ikael looks over to Esther, who looks back. They're communicating. Yes, Bregden was seized by the Hydoni because they believed we were the ones that unleashed the curse into their lands.
Did you unleash a curse into their lands?
I must confess, it was not. Kind of looking back to make sure he can say this. It was not our will to do so.
All right. Well, that sounded very specific in the way you said that. But I'm going to chalk that up to Russian being your second language. So, who are the Haidoni?
Haidoni claim descendancy from the Highcaster Empire. They have settlements to our west, and their city along our trade routes that we share further west. And we have had tough relationships with them over the years.
Does that make
But
them
this has
upstream or
brought us-
downstream?
That is upstream.
Okay.
It has brought us to war, and we struggle to survive. We are on our knees, and they have yet to deliver the final blow.
Wait, so is that why your water is so dirty out there?
That is the corruption. It has spread.
All right. So they're just using the corruption. Or that's exacerbating already tense relationships between your two nations.
Esther thought she could bring the flute back. The flute was our goddess. But she unleashed horror instead.
Did you say a flute?
The flute. The flute
We're talking about a
was
woodwind.
a goddess. She was in the sky before the fall. It is her shard that corrupts this land. She was our beacon, our hope, and we hoped to make her ascend, which is your same mission. Look what happens when you try to deal in matters of gods. The corruption was unleashed and annihilated entire Haidoni cities and villages. And they came with their swords for retribution.
Are you telling me that the reason why there's blights all around here and starve, just eating up your entire swamp, is because y'all tried to put a god back in the sky or pull them down to the ground?
Oh, we tried to bring the flute back into the sky. There's a star up there. It must be possible.
We thought the same. We thought the same for our own star that guides us.
And you hear in your minds Esther's voice, the cost is too high. Abandon your quest. These are affairs of the immortals. Even those of us that claim descendancy to immortals are not immune to the folly of trying to make a god ascend, a god who has fallen to the earth.
I turn around and look at all of them like, y'all heard that, right? She's talking to all of us. Yeah, we're not gonna be doing that. It's a little bit more important to us. So listen here, Esther and Ikael. One of the reasons we came here was because we thought that maybe there would be people who could help us figure out how to destroy the shard or like purify it in some way. And it sounds to me like y'all have people who have studied the problem.
Yes, our scholars have studied it.
All right. So who has the biggest brain in that particular think tank?
Julius.
Just all right. Now we are getting somewhere. See, this is why open communication is so important.
Esther's voice sounds again. You may stay for a fortnight, but no longer. Our scholars are yours, but I must ask you leave our shard alone. Too much has been done already.
All right. Well, I guess we'll have to see what we can do. You are aware that you have slime monsters in your swamp, yes? Like a lot of them.
Those were
of
the
them?
Hydoni people turned to corruption.
How are y'all keeping them in the swamp? Why don't they come over here and overrun your town?
They are getting closer. We have built these walls, and they withstood worse. They have protected us against the Hydoni, and they will protect us against the starve.
Well, all right. I hope that works out for y'all.
I must be clear. I must be clear. Esther had all of the learning she needed to approach that shard, communicate with the flute, to make her revive and ascend once more. But in doing that, caused this corruption. Leave the god shards alone.
Well, I am sorry, but we cannot just leave an entity of such corruption to destroy nature in so vast an area. I understand that you have failed, and there has to be great shame in that. But we cannot
understand
do
why
nothing.
you're so ashamed.
You must do nothing. It is the command from Esther.
Well,
these are her lands, not yours.
Look,
it sounds like your lands only go so far, and the Hydoni's lands are beyond, where the shard is.
And then you hear Esther. We invited you into this place as friends.
We came.
Will you remain as friends?
We mean you no harm. In fact, we seek to help. We want to be allies, but we can't do nothing.
What could we do that would make it work? Like, what could happen that would be worse than this? It's only a matter of time before this citadel is overrun or you're so besieged that you have to leave it anyway. It's not a self-sufficient place. And then, you know, at that point, maybe the starve are too numerous to do anything about.
So, Amir, I want you to roll navigate. Well, I guess it could be its prestige as the stat. I'm trying to decide the move.
Okay. Prestige is my worst stat.
But you're going to get Grumble's prestige as well.
Okay.
Because he's helping you with the argument.
So prestige is a D4.
And the threat you're confronting is that you are defying Esther.
Right. Okay.
So let's see if the argument works. And then any disciplines.
Do I get my talent die for attempting to balance nature and society?
Yes.
Okay.
Definitely. That's what's going on here. That's the primal conflict you're dealing with. You have to restore the imbalance, but society's in the way.
Okay. Grumble, what's your prestige? Or do you want to roll it?
D4.
D4. Okay, I'll roll it. So I'm rolling 2D4, a D6, and a D20.
Okay. You can spend your favor, too, if it's important to you.
That gives me one more D6, right?
Yeah. Uh-huh.
I don't think I have any disciplines that help with this either. Yeah, no. You know what? Sure, I'll spend a favor. All right, I have none favor now. Hey, the favor helped. I imagine. All right, so that's a 21.
All right, you get that favor back.
Oh, sweet.
And that threat is resolved. So, what is it about your argument that changes her mind?
I think it's because I mentioned her shame, something she wasn't willing to confront.
Yeah. Yeah, she is ashamed. So she lowers her head and actually kneels down. And she says, and this is in your heads. It's the only way she can communicate. She's been getting translations from her vizier, but she says, I am humbled. What you say is true. Please try to enjoy the feast. And then she leaves. There's a little portal that she walks through.
And Emir bows like a big old bow when she kneels.
Yikael kind of sighs and I truly hope you haven't broken our queen. Now, Feast. I will be around if you need to translate. And they're bringing in tables, chairs, wine. The multitudes are let in. It looks like they let the commoners in. They're feeding the commoners.
That is a pleasant surprise.
Yeah, and so there's plenty of room for them. And but when they all get in, they figure there's probably only a couple hundred of them at the end of the day. And this was a city of thousands.
I'm going to seek out Julius when I get a chance, but I'll let other people take the spotlight for now.
Renoy, she saw the people with like lesions and everything and just kind of assumed that some people were sick. So she's not interested in all the festivities so much as, there are people that she wants to go help. So she wants to kind of take off and go find those people and see if she can heal them with her magic.
They've been set aside, and when you go back, there's sort of a tent where a lot of the ill are there, and they have lesions and fevers. Mm-hmm. There's some caretakers in there. There are, I would say, there's probably about 3 or 4 caretakers and about a couple of dozen sick people. They're getting what they call river rot. And you don't know what it is, but it presents like your pretty typical bacterial infection. So it's like sores and stuff. And then, they have poultices that they're using, but it's all very surface to ease the pain, but there's very little curing going on. Mm-hmm. And when you arrive, they're like surprised. It's like if, so like Brad Pitt or somebody just walked in. They're like, dropping stuff and hello, and while you're hearing a language that you're not familiar with, mm-hmm. but they're surprised to see you.
Yeah. Is there any like source of water around?
There's a well in the outer courtyard.
Okay. So I think like Renoy, is there any like pitchers or bowls or anything like inside of this area that would hold water? Okay. So she's going to grab one of those items and kind of like gesture to the people and saying, as well as she can, like, hey, can I borrow this for a second? I'll be right back. And then she wants to go. She's going to fill that up at the well, and she's going to take it back. And the closest person to the entrance, she wants to kneel down next to them and just kind of like look at wherever, the infection is on their body, and then kind of like run water over it and then cast a blessing to heal them.
Yeah. All right. You're rolling defend, which is virtue.
Okay.
Against unknown disease. We'll see if this is like an ordinary disease or what, based on what the dice do.
Okay. So I got 1d6, and then I want to spend a favor because I haven't rolled so great today. And that gives me another d6.
Yeah.
Okay,
well, it gives you a d6, right?
Another d6. Okay, so I'll roll 2d6 with a d20. Woo! There we go, baby. 18 plus 6. 18 plus 6.
Oh, nice. 24.
You get your favorite back too.
Yes.
All right, and you have narrative control. That was just a one-stage threat. So you tell me what happens.
They happen.
And what the source of it is.
Yeah, the source of it. Okay, so Renoy, she sees like the first person that she's by is like this young girl, and it's kind of taken over her face a bit, and it's spreading down the side of her arm. And the girl's like too weak to move, but she's like, what the heck is this like demonic looking bird doing, man? I don't know. So she just gently, like she doesn't touch her, but starting from the arm, working her way up, she slowly pours the water over it while muttering to herself, like she's saying some sort of incantation in Whitlander. And then as she's doing that, as the water passes over, like the lesions and everything like quickly shrink down and it turns back into perfectly like clear and healthy skin. And she does that all the way up, and she heals the girl, and suddenly the girl just kind of like jumps up with a lot more life, and she's feeling better, and she's touching her face, and all the other people are just like staring out like what. So then Renoy goes around and she does the same thing to everyone else. So
there's a big ruckus as the commoners get whiff of what's going on. There's a miracle worker on the grounds, and nobody can communicate with you, but you're getting a lot of excited vibes. So there's also a feast going on the inside.
So I guess now's the time, since everybody's good, I kind of just motion like come with me, and since they're fine, we all go into the hall, and the nurses and everything else. So, and Renoy is secretly hoping too that this might inspire a little bit more confidence in Esther, that like, no, we can figure this out. So
the big Oh, and OC was helping with that.
Oh no, I was just saying Inosi could help when Renoy comes back with all these people that she's healed. Inosi, can be by, maybe the angel who's still there. And she'll see Renoy come in and all the people she healed, and she'll say to him, very calmly, like, Renoy and I have quite a bit of knowledge about magic. Perhaps, we can find something that others have missed, since we are not from this area.
Yeah, imagine that the feast is interrupted as the doors open, and here comes Renoy with all of these people standing and smiling, and then all of the families that know who they are inside the feast just drop everything and rush, and there's hugging and weeping, and the Ikael, who seems to be a pretty straight shooter until now, just sort of smiles and nods at you. And, well, we truly are blessed that you came this day.
As we said, we just want to help if we can.
Where's Julius at?
You ask around, and he is the man that is passed out with an empty wine goblet on one of the many tables of the feast hall.
Julius, you son of a bitch. You are exactly the man I need to see. Wake up! I don't think Grumble really understands that much about being drunk, because he's probably never been drunk. He is a rock. He just thinks he's asleep.
He's hard to get up, but eventually he does.
Hell up, you self dog. Come on.
Oh.
Up and at him. Up and at him.
You are the people that I have been hearing so much about, and his Whitlander is perfect.
You speak like a native. I don't detect any accent from you at all.
I have practiced many years, my boy. More years than I want to admit. So you came here working miracles. And you're going to solve the problems of the world. That's what I hear.
You know what? I'm going to big up myself. Yes, we are here to solve the problems of the world. And that includes fixing your slight issue with a god shard hanging out in your smokes.
Well, first you got to fix your humility, son.
But okay, how's that going to help me? How's that going to help me defeat a god?
It's gonna put things into perspective. Do you know when? Have you seen a eyeglass before, where you put it up to your eye, and things that seem so far away are now up close?
I've heard stories of such wondrous items before.
Well, this is a lot like that.
Mhm.
You come in with notions about how the world is, but when you look at it up close, you realize you don't know anything. And
Are
you're
we still talking
walking
about
into this
god
without
shards?
it's going to take more. You grab some more to drink. When you walk into this thing thinking you know what's going to happen, you do what Esther did, and you unleash hell. So you need to learn some humility and accept that you don't know at all what's happening.
Yeah, I don't
So
know
says
what's
Julius
happening.
Lorado, Hydoni Chronicler, right here, baby.
So you are a Hydoni. See,
I was a
information.
Hydoni until they
That's
started
stuff that I don't-
massacring. Yeah, no, Hydoni.
That's some I don't know. So I just learned something from this little interaction. So for me, that's a win. Me and you are friends now. What I'm saying is that right now, I recognize that we don't have the information that we need. That's why we're here. I'm just saying that I believe in my heart of hearts that we have the capacity to take that information that might be available and figure out how to rectify this situation.
Why don't you bring your friends over, big fella, and dragon?
Here, I'll bring you to meet them.
The demon,
He drags
yeah.
him to. I'm going to drag him to his feet and pull him through the party towards where whatever is sort of like in the vicinity of earshot of Emir, Inosi, and Renoy.
You have never seen a shark so big. It was like double the length of my arms.
Oh my god. Rabble. Oh my god. Wallow.
Ikael's been having to translate that, and he's kind of like you hear it in the link, but he's doing the gesture. You know, you kind of think he's getting it right.
Emir speaks Rishan, so he's telling the story in Rishan.
Yeah, and he's translating in Porson tongue. So, like the crowd of commoners are like looking at each other, sort of like that scene in Fellowship of the Ring with the little kids, and their eyes are all big. Yeah. And Julius.
And this one, Grumble, my friend, he was riding a shark. You've never seen anyone ride a shark.
That's right. They call me the Shark Rider. Old nickname.
But
remember that, kids. Grumble the Shark Rider, leader of the God Tamers. Hey, Emir, I need you to meet this gentleman right here. This is Julius, the one that we've heard so much about. He knows more about God shards than anybody in Bregand, and you can't tell from looking at him, but he's Hydoni.
Oh, well, we are lucky to have you. And I think Emir's a little tipsy now, and he just like goes to like pat him on the shoulder, but his hand's like the size of the guy, so he's like whap.
How much does Emir have to drink to get tipsy? How much does an 18 foot?
He pans over to a bunch of empty
the
casks.
whole cask like a cup.
They smash it against his forehead.
They just serve him
splinters
kegs.
shoot everywhere.
Yeah. He just pokes the side of a keg like a barrel, and it's like he tips it up, and that's his.
So Julius is looking around, sees the drunken giant, the cocky rock, and there's like one of the commoner girls that was sick is like riding on Renoy's back, kind of like you're her best friend now.
I'm like making my wings go because she likes that, just to make it feel like she's flying.
You are truly ones for the Chronicles. I'm going to be writing about you. You all are something special, but not too special. Don't let it go to your head, okay? Because it's the last thing you need.
And you've only met half of us. This right here is Renoy. Now, she is amazing. I one time saw her basically curse an entire swamp and fill it with fire. It was wild.
Yeah, well, I mean, to be fair, it didn't quite work out the way that I planned, but yeah, you know, I sometimes like throwing around the old fireball. Yeah.
And the quiet one.
Oh, that's a Nosy. A Nosy may be the most powerful of all of us. She was instrumental in taming the god itself, if you know what I mean. And she's able to basically commune with whatever you got around here. So you just give her a name, and she can talk to your gods for you.
Oh, I don't know exactly what you mean because we have no gods, but something's working. Well, I can tell you this about the shards. You know, have you ever been to one of those festivals where they have a fun house? You walk into one door, and then when you walk in, you realize that all of those other doors that looked at like they went to other buildings all went into the same place.
I have heard stories of such wondrous items, yes.
Well, that's what the shards are. See, when you get to a shard, it doesn't matter where on Highcaster's continent you are. They're all connected. So if you want to get your god back in the sky, you can go right over here. That shard will take you to her, or him, or them. Not sure who your god is. That's point one. Point two is I need a little more. Point two is I've lost my train of thought. What was two? I remember three. Point three is that these are not the gods. Everybody thinks that these shards were the gods that were in the sky when they fell. No, this is what's left over when a god dies. Not even a corpse. It's sort of like if you were to take the power of a god and turn them into something physical, that's what the shards are. It's what's left behind.
Yeah, but then they wouldn't really be a god, though, right? Is that what you're saying?
All right, that brings me back to point two. God is not it's relative. What we call gods, us chroniclers call the invoked. All that means these were ordinary people that figured out how to ascend to become powerful, and then they had a place in the sky. It doesn't mean they were physically living
I got
in
to
the sky.
diagram this. Hold up. I got to diagram this real quick. Give me 1 second. And he's going to pull out like some paper and quill.
So this is what I'm saying. You have to find your person. She's somewhere out there. She's beyond that shard. She's in the horizon. That's the place between places. But to get her to ascend, that's up to her. And what you let out by going in, that you can't take back. So you really up for this?
So wait, is that what happened with Esther? She went into the shard, and what came out was the corruption?
Yes. Yes, and it's out, and it can't be put back in. It's like a dam broke. How are you going to put the water back after the dam breaks?
You could build another dam.
You could. But the damage is already done. The water's already out.
True. Perhaps you could redirect the current.
Yeah, I'm thinking.
Now
like
you're getting a little bit literal,
if you
Giant.
dug a series of canals, then you.
This is a metaphor, people.
Oh, so not like literal water.
It's like water, Amir. Like that. It moves like that is what he's trying to say, I think.
Okay. It moves like water, then you can treat it like water. I don't understand.
We'll go over it later.
Your elder sent you on an impossible mission. There's no telling that Esther found what she found. There's no telling what you're going to find. You might, the Oathstar, is that what you call her?
Mm-hmm.
She
Yes.
might be long gone. Who knows what that star is in the sky? Nobody knows what that is. That could be Oathstar.
Well, it's not exactly in the right spot. I mean, it's
Yeah,
in the wrong spot in the sky.
definitely
so-
not her. It's definitely
If
not
she is
her.
there, who knows if you can revive her? And if she can revive her, who knows if she wants to ascend?
With all due respect, sir, when we took on this quest, we understood that we may not come back from it. And we understood the gravity of the quest that we were being sent on.
But do you understand the impact you could have on the rest of us? And what other horrors you might unleash into the world?
That is right. I have to agree with Julius on this. If the risk is that we would make this corruption worse,
But how could we make it worse? I mean, it's already taken over the countryside.
You don't know what lives in the horizon. Nobody does.
we have seen a scare. We defeated it. Well, we tamed it.
I need to hear more about that story.
That is
and
something
well-
from the horizon.
It possibly did, yes.
Well, it is more of a guardian. Oh, maybe the scare could come and push corruption back. It's supposed to defend the border. We just have to go and get it.
God damn,
Live
you're
in
an
the river.
idea guy today, Amir.
Could it live in the river? How deep is the rivers?
God, a titan against a titan. Sorry. Clash of the Titans. I'm a nerd.
I mean, we're also we can't discount the chance that there's like something on the horizon that we could go meet and talk to. I mean, we tamed one guy and then we tamed another. Maybe we
Perhaps
solve the flood problem by plugging up the hole.
true. Maybe the corruption, if it is not constantly replenished, it dissipates like water into the ground.
Well, if that's your plan, I have a lot of work with you to prepare you. Hopefully, Hydoni won't attack in the meantime. Which may or may not be foreshadowing. As we near the end of our session,
Dun dun dun.
we unveil the difficulty of the situation and, what is possibly going to come. So why don't we wrap up here? I'm going to alert that we're closing out. I think we have 3 more sessions left, so be sure to continue to tune in on Tuesdays at 4:30 Pacific, 7:30 Eastern. And we will be here to conclude the story. Also, be sure to go to the Kickstarter, which only has a few days left, and tell your friends, because we hit that $10,000 mark, then I can put in a whole section on how to adapt your favorite fantasy role-playing game into this system. And as you can see, you can handle almost everything from fighting zombies to politics and all the stuff in between. It is fun for all. So why don't we go ahead and introduce everybody again? I guess this is an extra deuce. What do you do when you close off?
Outro?
Like an outro, yeah.
I think extra deuce is how they say it in Wormguard.
Yeah, in
Or not the-
Whitlands,
in
it's
the Whitlands.
also known as the extra deuce. I'll go first again. I'm Rob Aber, he, him. I'm at Nerdy Paper Games. Everywhere it matters. Go look at my art and give me a follow on Instagram, Itch.io, and Twitter.
Awesome.
I don't know why I gave my pronouns again. I mean, you've been watching the entire episode, so
Have it, I guess.
habit.
Oh, come on. Who's next? I'll point somebody out.
It's
Kurt, you're
Joanna.
next.
Joanna's next.
Oh, it's Joanna. Sorry.
It's okay. Joanna Nelius. I played Renoy, the wonderful, scary-looking demon healer of mysterious ailments. You can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at JLN where I also post a lot of pictures of my cats, and you can see one back there.
Yay.
There we go.
There's a cat.
Here's a cat. Charlie, you're famous.
He's cursed.
Yes. Oh, and there's the other one. And they're going for it. Okay. Oh, there they go. Anyways, Emir, Enosi.
Sure, I can say my goodbyes. I am Kurt. I have been Emir, and Muscles. You can find me on Twitter at Kurt Potts or anywhere else at Kurt Potts. Like I said at the beginning, I'm a game designer. I co-wrote Lighthearted, which is going to be fulfilling in a month or two. So go follow me for game design stuff.
Yeah.
All right, Danny.
I'm Danny. I go by she, her pronouns. As is my character. I played Enosi, who's apparently like the most powerful of the group. That's pretty cool, I guess. Pretty cool.
Anyway, your strongest asset.
Yeah,
That's
you'll
right.
take that honorific.
That's right. I have a podcast with Joanna, and I write as well. We just did Lizzie's story. We just talked about it on Apple TV. It's our latest episode that came out today. And I write for role-playing games. I write fiction. I write graphic novels. I write short stories. I write all sorts of stuff. So follow me at my name, which is Danielle DeLise. And I hope to see you there. And tune in next week.
Yeah, I think that's everything. We will see you all later. So long.